Hi there, I'm going to go over my Nightmare on Elm Street DVD collection, and I do have all 9 of the Elm Street movies. And I have been wanting to do this video for a while, as I've said on one of my other videos, and I'm going to go ahead and go through these. I've already talked about this one on a couple of videos. The original Nightmare on Elm Street I've got on DVD. I love this movie to death. Here's the back, front, and the disc. Freddy's hand. There's like a little slip thing with a picture of the front cover, of course. Like I said, this is my best Nightmare on Elm Street film. I know I've already talked people's heads off on my other video about this. This was definitely the best of the whole series. I enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, this is the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie they ever had. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I absolutely love this movie too. I loved how it was a direct sequel to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the fact how it left off where the first one ended, how Freddy was already in the real world because Nancy pulled him out of the dream world and at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street 1 right there, and he was stuck in the real world and he had to possess Jesse's body to actually do some of the supernatural stuff that Freddy does. And I absolutely loved this movie. I just absolutely loved it. There's the front, back. You can see right there, Jesse has Freddy's glove on because Freddy pretty much took over Jesse's body. He was possessing his form, and this is all in all a good movie. I absolutely enjoyed it. There's the disc. Yeah, all in all, I definitely enjoyed the first one. Like I said, was the best. And Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was definitely real good, without a doubt. Moving on, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. If you think you'll get out alive, you are dreaming. This one was a really good movie. I actually liked it. How the last of the Elm Street kids, of the parents that killed Freddy, were kind of, I would say, they were pretty much tossed in a loony bin. This was a pretty good movie. I thought it was good to see Nancy return. However, it was sucked that she had to die. But here's the back. Here's the disc. I absolutely enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought it sucked how some of the characters that were in this had to die the way they did. Like that Taryn girl. I thought it sucked she had to die, you know, in this movie, because I liked her so much I could actually see her being like the main character in this movie. But unfortunately, that's not the way the writers wanted the movie to go. All in all, this was definitely a decent movie. Like I said, it was good to see Nancy return. The rest of the cast that were in this were absolutely great. I loved them. But yeah, that's an all in all definitely a must-have Elm Street movie. Next one, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. This was, I believe, one of the first Freddy movies I watched, and this movie is what got me into Freddy. I loved how Freddy turned those kids into a sausage meatball pizza and ate one of them. He had Rick on there, Alice's brother, and ate Rick right in front of Alice's face, and I just thought that was pretty damn sickening. But you know, we all love Freddy pretty much for that matter, anyways. This was all in all a good movie as well. I enjoyed it. I love that scene right there where Freddy's dressed up as a nurse. When Dan gets into that car accident, he's put into a hospital because he's hurt bad, and he sees Freddy's eyes, and he screams, "Krueger," and Freddy goes, "Well, it ain't Dr. Seuss." That made me laugh. And I like that scene, too, where he shapeshifts into that nurse and tells Kristen, "You stay put. You need to rest." He actually did sound like, in that nurse's form, he actually did sound like an evil doctor, without a doubt. This was all in all a very good Freddy movie. I absolutely enjoyed this one. Next one, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the others. I rewatched it recently. It was okay. It was good to see Freddy's mother come back, and, you know, of course, we never saw her before. We did see her in Elm Street 3, but it was kind of cool to see her and Freddy have a little bit of words. I don't know why. I guess it was probably the whole Alice's son being the dream child thing that probably bored me. I love that scene when that Mark kid gets sucked into that comic book, because he was a big comic fanatic, and it was kind of funny just seeing just the way Freddy tormented him. in his dream and killed him, I guess you could say, per se. I mean, I love that scene where Mark got sucked into that comic book. That was probably the most enjoyable scene I thought was in this movie, in my opinion. Okay, moving on. I don't think I even showed on the disc. I'm sorry. There's the disc of Elm Street 5. And if I didn't show off the disc on Elm Street 4, I'm sorry. But there it is. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure I showed off the disc, because I know some people like seeing the disc. Anyways, finally moving on. Here's Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. I've seen people do reviews on this. A lot of people didn't like this movie, but I don't give a shit. I actually dug it. I don't give a fuck. I dug Freddy's Dead. I just thought it was real cool that we got to see a lot of Freddy's background history, how Freddy actually once had a wife, which we didn't know in any of the other Elm Street movies before this, and Freddy had a daughter. You know, I just thought that was real interesting, and I thought the cast in this were really good. I actually enjoyed it. I loved how he turned Spencer into a video game and was beating the shit out of him, and I loved that scene where John Doe was on that parachute high in the sky and Freddy cut both of those strings off, and that was actually the first time we actually saw Freddy fly. But of course, Freddy's, you know, God in the dream world. He could do whatever he wants. And I mean God with a lowercase g, not the real God. But Freddy can do whatever he wants in the dream world, so I really wasn't surprised. And like I said, Roseanne was in it, but she only had one role in it. But like I said, I don't care what anybody says about Freddy's Dead. I actually loved this movie. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed Freddy's Dead. Okay, moving on. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This is kind of like part 5. It kind of bored me. And the reason is, a lot of movies that are a movie within a movie, they always bore me at so many points. I don't know why, but, you know, I'm just not a big fan of the movie within a movie thing. However, it was good to see Heather Langenkamp return. I mean, of course, you know, her character died in Elm Street 3, and it was really nice to see her again, you know, in a new Final Freddy movie. There's the back. But I mean, this was an okay movie. I liked it. I mean, I dug it enough to where, you know, I mean, I actually liked it. But, you know, it was kind of like Elm Street 5. There was just certain parts that bored me. It's like we hardly got to see Freddy very much for the first half of the movie. I kept wondering, where's Freddy at, you know? I kind of like that. I mean, I kind of love this artwork. I love those blades. It's kind of like it looks like a metal Terminator hand with Freddy blades sticking out of it. I actually do love this picture right here. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Freddy vs. Jason. A lot of people didn't like this movie either, but again, I dug it. I enjoyed it, and I don't give a crap what anyone says. It was kind of funny to see Freddy and Jason fight in the same movie. However, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it could have been better, but, you know, it's good evil versus evil. I just kind of wish they would have had Freddy fight some other character. Like, okay, let me go ahead and show off the disc. This actually, before I get into detail, here, this comes with 2 discs. This is disc 1, which is the movie, and you flip that over and you get disc 2 with all the special features on it. Now, this was definitely a good movie. I mean, both characters, Freddy and Jason, are immortal, and winner kills all is what the previews for it said when it first came out, and I do remember that. I would have rather seen Freddy versus Pinhead, because they're both on like the same level. They both have supernatural powers. They can both mess reality up pretty badly, and I just think Freddy versus Pinhead would have been a better fight, just like Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers would have been a better fight. But all in all, this was a good movie. I loved it. I dug it, and I don't care what anybody says. I know a lot of people have bad opinions about it, but... And, of course, last but not least, here's the pointless, crappy remake. Yes, who can say they own the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? I know this is a rental. I should return it, but unfortunately, I bought it cheap at FYE because for the first couple years, I never saw this movie. For the first 3 years, actually, I never saw this movie, and I've always wanted to. I always heard it was a piece of crap, but me being a Freddy fanatic, I just had to see it, and I saw a cheap copy of it used at FYE for like $5, so I went ahead and picked it up. And when I watched it, and I do want to talk about this, as you can see on that barcode, it's got 666 at the end of it, and I think that's kind of funny. I don't know if you can see that very good, but it does. I do want to talk a little bit about this movie. There's the disc. Doesn't really have any artwork on it. I do want to talk about this, and what I want to talk about is, yes, everyone has said, and everybody is going to agree with me, that Robert Englund not being in this was a bad idea, and Jack Haley was not a good role for Freddy. I don't know much about the actor Jack Haley. I've never seen any of his other movies. This is the only movie I've seen him play in, and I mean, I'm not going to, so therefore I shouldn't say he's a bad actor since this is the only movie I've seen him in. I mean, he probably is a good actor. It's just that Freddy was just not the role for him. I don't know why Robert Englund couldn't have played the role for Freddy. I know in today's world, they want to know, with all the technology we got nowadays, they want to know what the movie would be like if it was made now instead of 10, 20, or 30 years ago. And as far as Robert not being in this goes, I don't know if it's because he wanted too much money, if they thought he was too old, or if they're wondering, you know, who would have been the role for Freddy if it wasn't for Robert Englund in today's age. I mean, I honestly don't know. I've tried to look that information up, and all I run into is a bunch of threads with a bunch of people's opinions and thoughts, and, you know, you're never going to be sure, you know, if that's true or not unless you hear the movie makers confirm it. And another thing that's disappointed me, every Elm Street movie I've got has special features on it. This one does not, and I'm going to tell you what else is shitty about this movie. Usually when you buy DVDs or Blu-rays and they have a bunch of previews, you can either, on your remote, you can hit main menu and it will take you right to the menu and you can play the movie, or you can skip through each preview. This one, you cannot go to main menu automatically, and you cannot skip through the previews. You actually have to fast forward through all these previews like a VHS tape until you get to the main menu. And when you get to the main menu, it just has an option to play the movie or a language selection, which I thought was pretty dumb because, you know, that should tell you right there, since this had no special features on the disc whatsoever, that goes to show how much of a cheap, crappy movie this really was. It was just a cheap-made movie, without a doubt. Now, there was a guy, his name's Caleb, who's on YouTube. He and I have had a couple words off and on. One thing he said that I agreed with, if Rob Zombie would have gotten a hold of this Nightmare on Elm Street remake, it would have been a lot better than what it is now. No, they'll never have another one as good as the first one, no matter what they try to do or how hard they try. But if Rob Zombie would have gotten a hold of this, I'm not going to say we would have seen Robert Englund again. It's a good possibility, but it would have been a lot better now. You know, it would have been a lot better than what it is now if Rob Zombie would have gotten a hold of this. And it's not just the fact that Jack Haley just didn't seem to fit the role for Freddy. There's more to it that made this movie a piece of crap. It's pretty much the fact that they turned Freddy from a child killer into a pedophile. Yes, he still killed kids, but all the kids he was killing were the kids he either beat or molested when they were young. You know, in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it revealed that Freddy killed several kids in the neighborhood, and the courts found him not guilty, and they let him free, and that's why all the parents tracked him down and burned him and killed him. But in this one, I guess he molested all the kids, and all the parents were just, that was their way of getting revenge on him, was burning him alive. But, you know, it never revealed that he was a child, it never revealed that he was a child killer. Instead of revealing that, it reveals that he's pretty much a pedophile-ish type of a Freddy. And that's pretty much what made me sick about this movie, and that's another thing I think damn near killed the franchise, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I mean, like I said, if they would have twisted the plot around just a little bit, it would have been better. And some of the lines that Jack Haley used in this were lines that Robert Englund had used in either the first, second, third, or fourth film. And because, like I said, like that scene where Nancy gets drowned into that pool of blood, like it's quicksand blood or whatever you'd want to call it, quicksand type of blood. Freddy goes, "How's this for a wet dream?" We pretty much heard Freddy say that in Elm Street 4 when he was drowning Joey in his waterbed, which I thought was even funnier. That scene in Elm Street 4 made me laugh my ass off. But when I heard Jack Haley use that line, it didn't make me laugh because, one, he didn't sound or look as funny as Freddy when he did it. And two, I mean, him line stealing from the old Freddy would pretty much that's pretty much a turnoff. I mean, like I said, I mean, it could have been better if they would have twisted the plot of this around and if they hadn't have copied some of the kills from the original series. But, you know, they didn't, and of course Rob Zombie didn't get a hold of it, and I do know for a fact he would have done a better job at this movie if he would have made it. But he didn't, and it is what it is. But I just wanted to do a review on my Elm Street DVD collection, Nightmare on Elm Street collection. There's the crappy remake, Freddy vs. Jason, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, 4... 3, 2, and 1. Alright, I just wanted to do a review on this because I've been wanting to do a review on it. I got all these movies, all these DVDs recently. Most of them I bought at FYE, and some of them I bought on eBay because FYE had Nightmare on Elm Street 2, 3, 4, 5, and Freddy's Dead. And Freddy vs. Jason. And that crappy remake. That crappy remake, I bought that one months and months and months ago. I got that Freddy Krueger Collector's DVD box set. I might do a review on that another time, but some of the discs on there went bad, and I just figured it was time to, you know, rebuy all of these because, you know, with age and you play your movies a lot, your disc will get ruined within a long period of time. Hopefully these will last forever and ever and ever. Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to do a review on all of these. Nightmare on Elm Street 1 I had to order off of eBay, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare I also had to order off of eBay. Both FYE and Fry's and Best Buy did not have either of those, so worst came to worst and I had to go to eBay to complete my collection. Anyways, I just thought I'd do a review on that, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and not talk your heads off forever. So, you guys take it easy and peace out, Freddy fans.